Welcome to Monday Morning Coffee. May you all be blessed with grace, peace, and mercy this entire week. Now, we are continuing our discussion on the biblical attribute of goodness, one of the fruits of the Spirit. And today we are going to talk about a part of goodness that is often overlooked. If you haven't seen last week's episode, you need to start there. There'll be a link in the description box below. And if you haven't seen the rest of the series, you're going to want to watch the entire playlist. There'll also be a link to that in the description box below. Now, we are going to begin where we do every week with our key scripture, Galatians 5, verses 22 and 23. But the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, self-control. Against such things there is no law. Now we're immediately going to go to another scripture today, Ephesians 5 verses 6, where we can get more insight into what we're talking about with goodness. So Ephesians 5 verse 6 states, "Let no one deceive you with empty words, for because of these things the wrath of God comes upon the sons of disobedience. Therefore do not be partakers with them. For you were formerly darkness, but now you are light in the Lord. Walk as children of light. For the fruit of light consists in all goodness and righteousness and truth, trying to learn what is pleasing to the Lord. Do not even participate in the unfruitful deeds of darkness, but instead even expose them. For it is disgraceful even to speak of the things which are done by them in secret. But all things become visible when they are exposed by the light. For everything that becomes visible is light." Now, goodness is part of the fruit of the light. And the fruit of the light is opposed to the deeds of the darkness. And part of the fruit of the light is exposing those deeds of darkness. And that is what goodness is. Goodness is exposing the deeds of darkness. William Barclay's Bible study commentary on the book of Ephesians states that goodness is virtue equipped at every point. Goodness might and could rebuke and discipline. And in fact, we even see Jesus showing goodness when he goes into the temple and he throws out the people who were making God's temple into a bazaar, selling things and raising money in the temple. This is the part of goodness that often goes unnoticed. Someone who is filled with goodness often has to address that lack of goodness that they may see in others. Now, you'll recall last week I quoted from Ron McElmore from a book upon Lent, and I want to read another quote from that book. Ron McElmore went on to say that someone with these attributes, the attributes of goodness that we're talking about, has the moral and spiritual authority to admonish another person rightfully. And we can actually see this in Paul's writings. If we go to Romans 15, verse 14, there Paul writes, "And concerning you, my brethren, I myself also am convinced that you yourselves are full of goodness, filled with all knowledge, and able also to admonish one another." In other words, being filled with goodness will not permit you to ignore a lack of goodness in others. And in particular, we're speaking about brothers and sisters in the Lord. If someone in the Lord is living in a way where they aren't exhibiting goodness, then we have a responsibility to point that out in their lives. Goodness is actually best described maybe by saying it is righteousness without compromise. It is something that we are often pursuing but is unfortunately not often attained. Now, we only have 3 more attributes of the fruit of the Spirit left, and next week we're going to move on to the next one. I hope you'll join us here for that. Remember, the world is your mission field. Now go out and reflect Jesus into it.